For context lang naman, for context. Kasi alam naman natin ngayon mga kotsero na sobrang init ng ng kwentuhan pagdating sa charter change. Sobrang init talaga, guys. Mas mainit pa sa sa pinakamatapang na kape na nainom nyo, guys. Mas mainit pa dun, guys. Etong usapin sa Sendwave, sa Chacha. And alam niyo naman ang posisyon ko diyan. Alam niyo na yung position ko diyan. Pero syempre, this time, since meron tayong guest expert sa charter change, I will take a more neutral stance. Para naman maging fair naman, di ba? Medyo may mga itatanong tayo na playing the devil's advocate. Di ba? But for context. Kasi recently naglabas ng statement ang Cynthia Villar at Senator Amy. Tungkol dyan sa Chacha na yan. Ito yung sinabi ni Cynthia Villar. Pakita ko lang. Ito yung sinabi ni Cynthia Villar. Eto, wait lang. Ito na. Yan. Hindi naman importante yan. Langyato si Cynthia Villar. Langyato. Palibasa siya yung malulugi eh. Pag nagkaroon ng foreign direct investment sa Pilipinas, sila yung unang-unang malulugi, mga oligarchs. Imagine, hindi mo na sila kailangan. But anyway, mamaya, pag-usapan natin yan. Ano pang sinabi? Hindi, basahin natin yung sinabi niya. Hindi, panoorin natin yung balita, pero basahin muna natin yung mga sinabi. Ito pang sinabi. Ayaw naman ng mga business groups dyan eh. Sabi ni Cynthia Villar. Ayaw naman ng mga business groups dyan. No ba? Sabi niya, I have talked to other businessmen. Actually, what they want is the ease of doing business and less corruption. Lagi nang sinasabi yan, Senator Cynthia. Lagi nang sinasabi yan. Paulit-ulit na yan. Panahon pa ni Cory Aquino yan. Panoorin natin yung balita. Para baka sabihin niya, pumipake news ako eh. Ito.
Senator Cynthia Villar does not believe that the country needs to amend the Constitution to pave the way to economic development. According to Villar, this can be attained through passing necessary laws. An entrepreneur herself, Villar says business groups want the government to focus instead on curbing corruption and improve the business climate in the country.
Lagi nilang sinasabi na economic provisions, pero yung economic na provisions na sinasabi nila minor eh. Hindi naman importante. And if we want to improve our economy, we can just legislate what we need to improve. Kasi
no, it's a lie. It's a lie.
Mga businessman, actually ang problema nila is yung ease of doing business at saka yung corruption. Yun lang ang bawasan, okay na tayo eh.
The Senate and the House of Representatives have been discussing their own versions of the proposed amendments to certain economic provisions of the Charter relating to public services, education, and advertising industry. For Senator Amy Marcos, the real motive behind Chacha remains doubtful. Without mentioning names, the presidential sister believes certain lawmakers intend to amend not the economic provisions but the political ones instead.
Anyway, bago tayo magpatuloy mga kotsera, mag-shoutout muna tayo sa mga kaibigan natin sa Sendwave. So kayo ay nasa US, UK, Canada, Italy, France, Spain, Ireland, and Belgium, may pwede na kayo magpadala na inyong mga remittance sa Pilipinas nang wala pong remittance fees gamit ang Sendwave. Ang gagawin nyo lang ay i-download ng Sendwave app, gawa kayo ng account, ilagay nyo ba ang account details nyo dyan at pwede na kayo magpadala sa Pilipinas sa GCash, sa mga bangko at iba't ibang mga pawn shop din sa bansa. At kapag ginamit nyo pa kayong promo code na Coach Jared, ay makakakuha kayo ng karagdagang $20 free credit. Yan. Kaya gamitin na si Sendwave for all of your remittance needs. Okay.
Ako naman, yan na nga yung duda natin na hindi naman economic amendments ang pakay, kundi political. Di buksan na yung pag-uusapan. Kung talaga yun ang gusto, di
Tigilan ako.
magpakatotoo na.
Kayo lang nagpo-politicize niyan.
Ngayon pa lang. Now na, pag-usapan na yan.
Last month, Senate President Juan Miguel Big-Zubiri vowed to step down from his post should political amendments push through. Senator Marcos also questioned those who were rushing to pass economic chacha before the Holy Week break.
Yung pag-aamyenda ng economic provisions, narinig naman natin, iba-iba naman, samot-sari naman yung opinion, may yes, may no. Kaya maraming pag-uusapan, di siya automatic. Kaya Nagtataka ako, bakit may deadly deadline? Bakit may tanning?
Kasi eleksyon.
Parang target kasi. Oo nga, parang mahal na araw or else. Bakit ganun? Okay, last ipapako tayo sa cruise.
The Senate
Wait lang
subcommittee
sasagutin ko lang yon. Bakit may deadline? Kasi hinahabol yung 2025 national senatorial elections, midterm elections. Bakit? Para makamura. Puro kayo delaying tactics eh.
tackling the resolution of both houses number 6 will conduct its fourth hearing on March 5 to continue its discussions on the proposal to allow full foreign ownership of universities and other higher education institutions in the country. Harhin Delgado, UNTV News, Andres.
So yan yung pinanggagalingan nating konteksto. Na for some reason, certain politicians are politicizing the issue of charter change. When it should not be the case. Hindi dapat ganun yun eh. This should not be politicized. And as such, okay, we have, sabi ko nga sa inyo, may special guest tayo tonight. Ayan. We have a special guest for tonight to enlighten us more about charter change and yung what do you call this? The objectives of correct movement. Kung actually matagal na tong correct movement, dapat nga dati pa pinapansin to eh. So, yun nga, kailangan for all of us to be informed ng ano ba talaga yung nangyayaring issue dito sa Chacha na to. At bakit importante siya. We have as our guest tonight, Sir Orion of Correct Movement. Sige sir, go ahead po.
Okay, hi. Thanks again for having me, Coach Jarrett, and good evening sa lahat ng mga tagapakinig at mga nanonood ng programang ito. Ako po si Orion Perez Dumdum ng Correct Movement, and I'm very happy to be here to help explain the topic about constitutional reform.
Yun po sir. Actually, I'm sure you already know what's happening sa bansa natin regarding the issue on charter change. But sir, we would like to get to know more about you muna. What motivated you to study charter change and then eventually start yung group ng Correct Movement?
Yeah, actually kind of simple lang kasi for the longest time I was an OFW. So I'm essentially a recent balikbayan. Last January, middle of January lang ako bumalik ng Pilipinas. But before that, I was based in Singapore for a really long time, since 2000 as an OFW. And when you're an OFW, kapag OFW ka, namumulat ka sa realidad na ang Pilipinas ay napag-iiwanan ng ibang mga karatig bansa natin, di ba? And especially pag nakikita mo kung ano nangyari sa Singapore, which is where I was based. No? So ang Singapore, ang kwento talaga ng Singapore, paulit-ulit kinikwento ng mga Singaporean at ng kanilang gobyerno every year during their National Day, no? Yung National Day nila, which is basically their parang Independence Day nila. Lagi nilang ini-emphasize yung mahirap kami dati, mahirap ang Singapore dati, pero dahil sa ginawa natin ng mga tamang solusyon, which includes bringing in foreign direct investors, nagkaroon ng maraming trabaho, ang mga taong dating walang trabaho ay ngayon naging taxpayers na rin, dumami ang mga kumpanyang nagbabayad ng buwis, at dahil doon, dumami rin ang pera ng gobyerno para makapagpondo ng magandang edukasyon, ng magandang healthcare, etc., roads, bridges, etc., yung mga ganon. So, yung lagi nilang paulit-ulit mong naririnig yun every year. And in fact, you go to mga museum ng Singapore, makikita mo rin yung kwento ng Singapore. And so, you cannot escape it. You will know the story of how Singapore became a first world country na dati pala siyang poorer than the Philippines. No? And when you get exposed to this story, napapaisip ka, bakit hindi natin kayang gawin yan? No?
Right.
And also, isa pa, pag ikaw ay Pilipino na sasakay sa mga cab, sa mga taxi ng Singapore, at syempre, kunyari, nag-uusap. Kasi paminsan, pag tayo mga Pilipino, hindi agad tayo hindi nila agad alam na Pilipino tayo until we start talking, no? Kunyari nagtagalog tayo, ganyan. So kunyari may kasama ka sa cab, nagtatagalog kayo, bigla na lang masasabi ng cab driver, "Hey, you're Filipino ah." Says, "Yes sir, yeah, we're Filipinos." "Oh, your country before, you are the richest in Southeast Asia before. Then why now you're so poor already You know,
Oh my God.
you
Ang
are
sakit.
poorer than ganyan talaga ang nangyayari.
Ang sakit naman
Madalas
nun.
nangyayari yan. Sakit talaga. And so this is a common occurrence among Filipinos in Singapore pag sumasakay ng cab. Nalalaman ng cab driver na Pilipino ka, tapos tatanungin ka, Pilipino ka pala. Bakit ganyan ang country niyo? Dati kayo yung mas mayaman sa amin. At ano nangyari? Bakit gano'n? Dati yung mga babaeng galing sa Hong Kong ang pumupunta diyan para maging maid sa inyo nung 1950s. Ngayon, kayo na ngayon ang nagiging maid sa Hong Kong at saka sa Singapore. Parang, paulit-ulit mong maririnig yun. Kaya
Right.
yun, motivating factor sa akin yun, yung bakit ko isinusulong. Dati pa, yung 2000, nung parang active ako dati sa yung dating Pinoy Exchange, if you know that, yung PEX, Pinoy Exchange na forum. And I was actively posting there. And I was already talking about, guys, baka kailangan natin baguhin yung sistema natin. And in order na mabago natin ang sistema natin, including yung economic system and political system, maybe we should consider changing the constitution. Ganyan. And it was very unpopular back then. And but then, with all the books that I was reading, so yung mga libro ni Lee Kuan Yew, binasa ko talaga yun, yung mga libro ng ibang mga Singaporean diplomats and scholars, binasa ko talaga kasi I was really so interested. What did Singapore do to make themselves very successful? And I learned so much, and I got all this data, this evidence that can prove na kailangan natin gawin kung ano yung ginawa ng Singapore. You cannot say na porket Singapore maliit, hindi natin pwedeng gayahin. Kasi nandyan yung example na ang Singapore, ginaya rin ng China, which sobrang laking bansa. I mean, and I'm talking about the China not under Xi Jinping, but the China under Deng Xiaoping long ago, in 1970s. He saw kasi yung failures ni Mao Zedong.
Mao Zedong.
So, kita niya, palpak talaga magdala ng ekonomiya to si Mao Zedong kasi komunista, hindi marunong. And then he visited Singapore and na-impress siya sa nakikita niyang parang progress, no? And then he was asking Lee Kuan Yew, ano bang sikreto niyo? Ba't kayo naging mayaman? And then Lee Kuan Yew said, simple lang, naging bukas kami sa pagpasok ng mga foreign direct investors. Talagang aggressively kaming nag-imbita ng mga investors. And namulat ngayon si Deng Xiaoping, sabi niya, gawin ko kaya yan sa China, no? And so that's why he created this little enclave called Shenzhen. So yung Shenzhen, which is right across Hong Kong, dati wala yan pero ginawa niya ng mga roads, ginawa niya ng mga infrastructure, and then he invited all these investors from Hong Kong na mag-set up ng kanilang mga pabrika at, let's say, 1/10 the price, no? Kasi murang-mura yung labor nila, murang-mura yung rent, etc. And so many Hong Kong companies flock there. Usually yung mga toy manufacturers, mga garment manufacturers, mga clothing manufacturers. And then eventually pumasok din yung mga German companies, American companies, European companies, Japanese companies, and it became the richest city in one of the richest cities in China. And then Deng Xiaoping decided, okay, magandang example talaga to. Let's do the same for the rest of China. And that's how China actually ended up becoming a rich and what do you call this, parang superpower type of country, no? And of course, the story changed when Xi Jinping took over, no? Pero in any case, Deng Xiaoping was the guy who decided magpaka-kapitalista na nga lang tayo at maging bukas tayo sa pagpasok ng foreign investors. And other countries followed Singapore as well, no? And Vietnam followed China as well, which was basically a communist party run country. Pareho silang communist party run, pero sige, magpaka-kapitalista rin tayo. Yun ang ginawa ng Vietnam And it's ironic na 1986 was the year when the 1987 Constitution was being drafted, no? Yun yung time na ang mga anti-foreign direct investment restrictions ng 1987 Constitution ay pinasok, ginawa, no? And then yung case ng Vietnam naman, 1986 was the time when they decided na baguhin natin ang sistema natin from being hard-headed communist system, let's become more capitalistic and let's become open to foreign investors. And that was the birth of what they call the Doi Moi reforms in Vietnam. So, tayo, humigpit tayo laban sa pagpasok ng foreign investors. Ang Vietnam, during that time, yun yung time na nag-open up sila. And fast forward to 2021, the latter part of 2021, yun yung time na naungusan tayo, naunahan tayo ng Vietnam in terms of GDP per capita, which is really sad, no? Kasi we had all the advantages before, and we all know that Vietnam passed through the Vietnam War. They were devastated, ang daming nasira sa kanilang mga infrastructure, but they were able to recover because of that desire to emulate Singapore and also do what China was doing, which was becoming more capitalistic and more pro-foreign investor. So for me, just having learned about these because of my exposure abroad as an OFW, yun yung nag-ano sa akin, umudyok sa akin na ikalat ko kaya yung information na ito. Lalo na dun sa mga forum na nag-share ako ng information, lagi akong kinokontrahan, lagi ang daming hindi pa nakakaintindi. And inisip ko, I think I need to do something more actively, formally. I'll set up a group, I'll set up an advocacy, I'll have a website, and we'll have all these articles that can educate more people. So wala naman kami talagang funding. The only thing that we really have is funding for the website, no? But then slowly we were sharing the articles, sharing videos, making videos on our own lang, and we were able to amass quite a number of supporters who are now helping to really spread the word. And some of these really did help kasi umabot ang mga mensahe na ito sa maraming tao na influential, including people like Robin Padilla, no? So Senator Robin. So nakatulong din siya sa pagkalat nito. Even another guy like Tom Rodriguez, no, back in 2016. He also shared a lot of our articles dun sa kanyang Instagram account because during that time in 2016, he was doing a role na defender of OFW siya, and then he was told by his director, please mag-research ka about the OFW issue. Sa pagre-research niya, he stumbled upon the website, the correct the movement website, no? At doon nakita niya, uy, oo nga no, ganito ganyan. He started sharing all of that. And so medyo kumalat yung information. And there was other people who helped out. The late Carlos Celdrano also helped out before when he was alive. And then there were so many other people who helped to spread the word. So yun po yung background ng correct movement, no, na it came from yung frustrations ko as an OFW na parang nakikita ko year in year out na pag-iiwanan ng Pilipinas, and I keep on feeling bad na bakit everyone else is improving, yung mga Thailand, Indonesia, Vietnam, Malaysia, everyone is like getting better. Yung nakikita ko yung parang first world looking infrastructure nila, tas ang Pilipinas na pag-iiwanan, and we're not even doing the necessary changes, like yun nga yung pagiging bukas sa foreign investors, hindi natin ginagawa, and I felt so bad. What can we do? And that's why I'm doing this.
Right. And of course, I've been I'm a follower ng the Facebook page ng Correct Movement. And I can say na it's very very educational when it comes to understanding the complexities of changing the charter. Pero Sir Orion, kanina you mentioned na the Constitution was formed in 1986, which it was ratified in 1987. And the rationale kasi that many of the legal luminaries and those who are part of the commission, the CONCOM during that time, ang rationale nila for the closing of our economy ay yung Filipino first policy. So it's intrinsically tied to nationalism and all of that. So the question is, um, do you think now na meron drive to open the economy sa foreigners is contrary to that Filipino first policy that we have sa constitution?
Well, I think, to begin with, the Filipino First policy was a very misguided policy. It was actually started under the Carlos P. Garcia administration, no? And so that's an old, it's a Filipino First policy is as old as the Garcia, time, no? And that was actually a time when nag-weaken yung economy ng Philippines. Kasi before that, naging bukas yung Philippines dahil sa we had the Langley Act, Lauren Langley Act, yung tinatawag nilang Parity Rights Agreement,
Parity
with
rights.
the US. So the Parity Rights Agreement was basically an additional clause that caused US citizens and US companies to be able to enjoy the exact same benefits accorded to Filipinos. So for example, any clause sa 1935 Constitution na nagsasabing Pilipino lang ang pwede ganito, Pilipino lamang ang pwede ganito, it would automatically be interpreted or reinterpreted as Filipinos and Americans, Filipino companies and American companies. So nung time na yun, ang daming mga American companies na first of all na nandito na sa Pilipinas kasi nga we used to be an American colony. So maraming mga American companies nga na pumasok nung time na yun. And then there were also new companies from the US that were also pouring into the Philippines. These companies, the ones that were already in the Philippines, they expanded. Those that were new, they came here and set up their headquarters. Their Asian headquarters were set up in the Philippines. And so there were a lot of highly skilled, yung mga highly educated Filipinos who were hired by these companies. Tapos yun nga, naging maganda yung kanilang career progression, etc. Sila yung actually mga Pilipino yung pumupunta sa ibang bansa katulad ng Singapore or whatever para magbenta ng mga produkto nung mga kumpanya na nandito sa Pilipinas, yung kanilang mga pabrika, no? So parang
Right.
yung mga parang regional VP for Asia, ganyan, nasa Pilipinas galing, mga Pilipino usually, no? I remember that's the way it was before. And then when they started to have yung Filipino First under yung time ni Garcia, nag-slow down ng konti yung ganun. Kasi nga parang nagkakaroon ng more restrictions against foreigners, no? But still, in many cases, hindi nila talaga apektuhan masyado yung tawag nito, Parity Rights Agreement kasi anything that was for Filipinos extended automatically to Americans as well. So yun yung nangyayari until 1974, kasi 1974 was the expiry of the Parity Rights Agreement. So yun yung partly the reason bakit nagkaroon din tayo ng slowdown kasi as the years went on, napalapit yung expiry, nagle-lessen din yung mga American companies na nagse-set up sa Philippines. Yun yung nangyari, no? And one of the things sana that was going to happen was there going to be an extension of that, no? That was one of the things that then President Marcos Sr. was trying to negotiate with the US na magkaroon sana ng favorable terms also to the Philippines and all that. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. Hindi nagkaroon ng ganun. And I think Marcos Sr., President Marcos Sr. also had a different approach to economic development. But in any case, we were still relatively open kasi yung constitution dati ng Pilipinas, both the 1935 and then the later 1973 constitution, hindi ganun kalala yung mga restrictions on foreign investors. Pagdating ng 1987 Constitution, dun talaga parang sobrang daming mga restriction against foreign investors talaga na nangyari. And that's, unfortunately, yun talagang parang, it's a huge sign that says you're not welcome. And
Right.
and itong si Cynthia Villar, I really think she doesn't know what she's talking about. First of all, she's not the real businessman. The real businessman is actually her husband. I would like to hear from Manny Villar himself what he thinks, but hearing it from seems she doesn't really know much about business the same way.
Mhm.
Yun yung nakikita ko.
And speaking of without going too much into the political political aspect, no, let's I would rather muna focus on what she actually said, which is hindi naman do importante yung mga provisions na gustong baguhin. Sabi ni Cynthia Villar. What are your thoughts, Sir Orion?
She's wrong there. She's wrong. Kasi totoo namang importante. Whenever she says na hindi raw importante, that's wrong. It's erroneous. It's as I said, it's like having a huge sign saying you're not welcome here.
Mhm.
Diba?
Yeah. Go ahead, sir. Sorry.
So if you say that it's not important, no? Para bang may restaurant ka, you're trying to bring in more people to come in to your restaurant, pero may malaki kang sign na nagsasabi, ang mga taong hindi kamag-anak ng may-ari ng restaurant na ito ay kinakailangang samahan ng isang kamag-anak. May ganyan. Kunyari may ganyan ka, nakaka-turn off yun sa mga taong parang, ba't ako papasok dyan? Wala nga akong kilala sa sino may-ari na itong lugar na to eh. So, how much more makahanap ako ng sinong kamag-anak niya. So, di ba parang ganun yung magiging feeling mo na, ba't ako papasok dyan? Parang may malaking karato lang nakasabi, hindi ka welcome dito eh. Parang ganun. So, ganun that's what the 60-40 and all these other restrictions in the Constitution are basically saying. We don't want you here. Now, if you remove those, it's actually a signal to the rest of the world saying, we now want you here. Parang we are serious about bringing you in. So it's a very big sign naman na parang tinanggal mo yung sign na no foreigners are allowed. Parang pag tinanggal mo yun, parang it's now saying na we want you here. Na hindi na kami magdi-discriminate against you or we're not going to prevent you from coming here. Parang ganun na mangyayari. And that's a big thing. For anyone to say that it's not important, kalokohan yan. Sa totoo lang.
Yeah, and I agree. But for the appreciation lang of the viewers, no. Why is the 60-40 provision and marami pa naman yan. It's not just in Article 12, it's in Article 11, it's in Article 16. Sa yung mga restrictions sa Constitution, why is it a big you're not welcome sign para sa mga investors?
Well, it's a big you're not welcome sign because ang mga investors, they are always comparing countries versus other countries. Kasi may options sila eh. So, when they look at Southeast Asia, it used to be na gusto talaga nila sa Pilipinas. By hook or by crook, we want to go to the Philippines because magagaling ang mga Pilipino. Sila lang ang marunong mag-English. Kasi dati ganun eh. In the 1950s, 1960s, parang tayo lang talaga ang marunong mag-English dati. But ngayon, everyone else is already learning English. And everyone else is also learning the skills that we have had for the longest time. And now, all these companies, all these foreign companies are all saying, kung anong meron ng Pilipinas, meron din yung Vietnam, meron din ang Indonesia, etc. etc. Right. Tapos, titingnan nila yung laws natin or yung constitution. Teka, yung constitution ng Pilipinas nagsasabi ng dapat 60% Pilipino lang tapos 40% lang ang maximum na pwede tayong maging may-ari ng mga kumpanya, etc. etc. Tapos, teka, ang Vietnam, walang ganyan. Ang Malaysia, wala rin ganyan. So, all these other countries, walang ganyan sa constitution nila. So, parang odd man out ang Pilipinas. Agad-agad, natatanggal tayo dun sa selection process. Kasi tayo lang yung may mga ganyang klaseng karatula na nagsasabing, you're not welcome here. Whereas, the others, wala silang ganun sa kanilang constitution. Maaring meron silang restrictions din, pero yung restrictions nila, for starters, yung restrictions nila are not as severe as ours. And if ever they have restrictions, they're not in the Constitution. Nakasulat lang sa either sa kanilang policy or sa kanilang legislation lamang. Ayan, legislation, mas madaling baguhin yan eh. Pwedeng madaling i-repeal, madaling baguhin.
Mhm.
Constitution, yan ang mahirap baguhin. So, lugi tayo dyan.
Totoo. By the way, Sir Ryan, nag-ano pala ako, informal survey. Nagpa-survey ako dito sa channel ng payag ka ba sa economic chacha? 97% said yes, 3% said no. May
Wow.
3% talaga.
Wow! May 3% eh.
May
Baka naman
3%
mga,
talaga.
baka naman hindi mga parokyano mo yung mga yun. Baka mga galing
Baka
sa
ba?
labas yun.
Mga trolls.
mga trolls yun.
Oo. Anyway, so there. So I hope to see all of you again. And Sir Orion, I hope to see you again one of these
Thanks
days
again, Coach
when we
Jared.
have another discussion on a charter change. And that's about it for everyone. God bless you and see you again next time. Bye, everyone. Bye,
Bye.
everyone. Pag ganun, huwag natin gawing tanga mga Pilipino. Mas maganda kasi nasa lugar ka ng tama kaysa yung pinipilit mo yung pagkakamali. Are they willing to go that far? Hindi nakakalimutan ng Pilipino yan hanggat di nasasagot niya. Sino ngayon nagsasabi ng totoo?